want to show you today. So this is how we okay, so the agenda for my presentation is that first I will talk about the topic selection, which is the most important part of any research. And especially it is also very important in citation analysis that you have to choose a topic which is very relevant and where you can do the citation analysis. And then I will be talking about different search engines or databases which are available in order to do such kind of analysis. We have to do some keyword searching in these databases to find the relevant articles. And before yesterday or day before yesterday, I shared some details about how to install these two softwares, Bibliometrix and VOS Viewer, which I'm going to use it today. So then after that I will be talking about different aspects of using these softwares. How do we make graphs and how do we interpret them? So, and if you have any question, please stop me, because this should be an informal, I will be showing you different menus in this software. So if you don't understand something, so please, you can ask me anytime. So let me now go to the first thing that we need to understand is about is the topic selection. And here, we need to, find a topic which is not very broad. And at the same time, when we are making it more specific, we shouldn't make it too narrow. And then we don't find any articles to analyze or any data to analyze. So let me give you an example. If you are, for example, want to study about tourism. So if you just search articles which are talking about tourism, then of course there will be hundreds and thousands of articles which are talking about tourism. And then, if you, so it means you cannot handle 100,000 articles. So in that case, you need to narrow it down. And an example of this could be tourism and economic growth nexus, which is very popular topic in tourism economics. And a lot of people have tried to find out whether it is the tourism which is causing economic growth, or if it is economic growth which is causing tourism. So we need to make it bit focused compared to only tourism. And then if you are going to make it further narrow, for example, if you do tourism and growth nexus in Oman, so maybe then there is no article. So then you cannot analyze it. So you cannot narrow it down to very, very small number of papers. So you need to be careful about this thing, when you are selecting your topic. For instance, when we search this tourism, only tourism, in our Scopus database, so we found 123,000 articles. And of course, we cannot handle this much information, and it will be too broad to come up with any conclusion. And then we narrowed it down to, I'm presenting this with one of my paper, which I already published, so that to show you the process. So when we narrowed it down to tourism and economic growth nexus, we found 180 articles. And, it is very reasonable, well-focused area. And and then if you, narrow it down further to tourism and growth nexus in Oman, then we did not find any paper. So you have to be, you should know that when you are selecting your topic. And then you should also be looking at if you want to work on a mature topic, or if you want to work on an emerging topic. For example, tourism and economic growth is a very mature topic. A lot of research has been done. And of course, you can do that. On the other hand, if you are looking for something which is emerging, so then you can, for example, work on tourism after COVID-19, how tourism is affected after COVID-19. So, this is something that you have to decide if you want to work on a mature topic or if you want to work on an emerging topic. And then another very important thing here is that your expertise in the topic are also very important. Of course, maybe you are a PhD student and you are starting a new topic. in that case, it is perfectly all right to do it. But of course, if you have expertise in the topic, then of course it will greatly help you when you are going to write the paper. But it is okay if somebody is new in the topic. And then, these citation analysis or systematic literature review topics are very important to be done if you are planning to work on these topics in the future. Because then you will get a lot of insights, you will get a lot of dimensions in this area, you will have a very good grasp of the literature. So it's also very important when you are choosing a topic. And then you will be, for example, you want to find out, what are the good journals and what topic they are looking at. So this information is also very relevant when you are selecting a topic. And then before actually showing you the actual software which we will be using today, let me first talk about different databases available for doing citation analysis or bibliometric analysis or systematic literature review. So basically, I divide them into two categories. First one is written here, which I say these databases are with bibliometric information. So what do we mean by bibliometric information? Like, if you download or if you search an article here, so it will, of course, give you a lot of information about that article, but it also includes the information about how many times this article has been cited. So this is called bibliometric information. And so the main databases which includes bibliometric information are Scopus, Web of Science, and then we have Dimensions, PubMed, which are basically specialized in certain fields. But Scopus and Web of Science and Dimensions are the databases which are very general, or they cover all the subject areas. And if you are using these softwares, these databases, then you can actually use these softwares to analyze or to do your analysis or to do the systematic literature review or citation analysis. But there is one problem here in these databases, is that you cannot search your relevant article in full text, because if you go to Scopus or Web of Science or Dimensions, you will see that they only allow you to search in the title of the articles or in the abstract of the article or in the author's keyword. So these are the three main areas where you can identify relevant articles. So this is one of the main problem which you can have. But for me, it's for citation analysis, it does not matter. Why? Because we usually search article based on the title or author's keyword or the abstract in some cases. So we shouldn't be worried about that. But if somebody is want to look for the full text search, then they can use, for example, Business Source Complete, Science Direct, and ProQuiz. So these are the databases where you can actually go and search inside the article about some terms or to identify relevant articles. But the main issue with these databases is that you do not have any citation information. So they will give you the full text as well, but they will not give you how many times an article has been cited. But of course you can still use them. And this is, for instance, once you finalize your sample from these databases, you can then get the citations data from Google Scholar, for example, or you can also go and find the citation information from Scopus or Web of Science. So it's possible, but again, there is one more problem here, is that you cannot use these softwares. So these bibliometric software will only allow you to do citation analysis if you are using Scopus or if you are using Web of Science. So these are the pros and cons about these different databases. And also one thing I would like to mention, that if you want to use these bibliometric information databases such as Scopus or Web of Science, they are not free of charge. So your institution will have to have the subscription to these databases. Otherwise, you cannot do. But then I also found that I never worked with the dimensions, but dimension is free of charge, and you can do the same thing. So it can also be, dimension can be used in these Bibliometrix software, which is free of cost. So I don't know if your institution has subscription to Scopus or Web of Science. I don't know about that, but today I'm going to show you how it works in Scopus. But later on, sorry. So later on, if you would like to do citation analysis for your topic, you can go and use dimensions, which is free of cost. So any questions so far? Okay, so if no question, then now I would like to go and show you how we first select our relevant articles in Scopus database, because our institution has, Sultan Qaboos University has access to Scopus, and we don't have access to Web of Science. So I never used Web of Science, but with the collaboration of some other researchers in other universities, I used Web of Science, but mostly I use Scopus. So now I will go to show you how we do the document search in Scopus. So this is the Scopus database, and I am accessing it through my university, Sultan Qaboos University. Otherwise, you don't get this menu. You can go to scopus.com, you can search authors, but you cannot search document. So, and let me also show you the dimensions. So dimension is here. So this is also, I told you this is a free database where you can search article. For example, here it says dimension free version. So if you click that, now you will be able to search article, access for free. And then it will show you the, I don't know why it's not showing, but we'll do it again. Maybe there is some problem at the moment, but let me go back and do the article searching in Scopus. So I don't know if you have access to the Scopus or no, if somebody can reply.
There's access to Scopus through the Egyptian Knowledge Bank. It's a database and a search engine. It includes different publishers, different institutions, but we don't have as GUC. It's through the EQ.
Okay, so it's fine. For doing systematic literature review and searching article for citation analysis, you don't use that often. You just need it maybe for one day, or maybe if there is a special library where you can go and access to the Scopus, that is perfectly all right, because this is you do once in the start of your research, and later on you will be using some software where you don't need to go back to Scopus. So this is possible. And also, later on, if some of you would like to collaborate with me, or if you want me to help you in this, so we can have an online meeting where we can search together for your topic. So this is also very much possible. So let me now show you that in Scopus, we have, many different criteria for searching. For example, you can search in the title, abstract, and keywords for the relevant documents. You can search any special journal. You can search in the keywords. You can search by affiliation or country. So there are a lot of different, things available which you can use to search your relevant article. So mostly, we will be searching in the title, abstract, and keyword. For example, if I do that, I am going to search, for example, tourism and economic growth. So I will be using this topic to show you how we use it. So for example, I write tourism and economic growth. Okay, so I'm going to search how many articles we have. So if we do that, so we got 6,212 documents. And let me first show you if I only search tourism. So, as I showed you in my slides, if I search only tourism, sorry, I made a typing mistake. So if I only search tourism, so then I get 129,000 documents, approximately 130,000 documents, which are talking about tourism in the title, abstract, and keyword. So we need to narrow it down. So what I do, I now say that tourism along with economic growth. Okay, so I search it and I get 6,212. But still, there might be some irrelevant article. Why? Because I am searching in the abstract also. So I'm searching in the title, I'm searching in the abstract, and I'm searching in the keywords. So maybe some articles, they are mentioning economic as a separate thing, growth about something else, and tourism, they are just maybe mentioning about tourism. So it's whenever you are searching article, you need to start always with the title search, which is very, very good, tip. And also, in Scopus, I like to use this advanced data document search because you get more flexibility for searching. So let me show you that is very good to do. So you see, I first now start by searching in the title. So what I will do, I will write title. So it comes here, and then I write tourism, economic growth. Tourism and economic growth. And then I also would like to do it like this. I want to put and tourism along with economic growth, and I'm putting inverted commas here. Why I'm putting inverted commas? Because if I just write economic growth without inverted commas, then it will search economic and growth separately. So then, it can also be misleading. So you might have so many articles. So if I search tourism and economic growth, so then how many articles I get? I get 444 documents which are talking about tourism and economic growth together in the title of all the whole database. And I got 448 documents. And then, I would also like to try different keywords. Why? Because sometime maybe, instead of writing economic growth, some papers will be writing about economic development, tourism and economic development, so which is exactly the same topic. So what I will do now, I will say that I will be using some Boolean operators like brackets in order to specify my search. So I'm saying that take tourism and then look for tourism or economic growth or economic development. So again, I put economic development in the inverted commas, and then I bracket close. So what I'm saying to the Scopus that find all those articles which are using tourism in the title, and then economic growth or economic development. Any one of them is fine. So this is what I'm telling to the Scopus. So remember earlier I found 448 articles. Let's see how many articles comes now. So you see now the number of articles has increased to 770. Tourism and economic growth or economic development. And then, there is another very important area where the researcher, whenever you submit a paper, they also ask you to provide author's keyword. And author's keywords are also very, very important to find relevant documents. So what I do now, I will say that, okay, these 707 articles are fine, but I would like to get some articles to be searched in author keyword. So you see author keyword. So here is author key. So in Scopus, the author key is searched by AUTHKEY. So this is what I write. And then I copy all my title search in here. So I will copy all my title search. I copy it because I want the same thing in the keywords. Okay. So now we see I'm telling the Scopus that take the articles about tourism and then one of the economic growth or economic development from the title and also from the author's keyword. So let's see, previously I had 770 documents. Now let's see how many additional documents I have from the author's keyword. So see, now I have 1,305 documents. So it means, this is very important. And then you might be, for your topic, maybe you would also like to search from the abstract also, because abstract also contains some important information. Sometimes the authors do not write important words in the title, but they write what they are doing in the abstract. So we can also include abstract in our search. So how do we do that? I again go to edit here, and then I write that I would also like to have the articles from abstract. So abstract is ABS. This is the abbreviation for abstract. And then I don't want to write tourism and economic growth. Why? Because maybe they are not. So I would like to use the words in the abstract which are very, very specific, which will not bring irrelevant articles. So what I do for this topic, I will use, for example, tourism and growth nexus. So this is very specific term which is used for this in this literature, tourism growth nexus. And I would like to put inverted commas here. Why? Because then it will only look for this term, tourism growth nexus. And then there is also another term which is used in this literature, which is tourism-led growth. So when you are searching, so the idea here is that when you're searching something in the abstract, then use the words which are very, very specific to that topic. Otherwise, you will get many, many irrelevant articles. Tourism-led growth. So I put this as a combined word. So now it will also take the articles from here. So let me search it now. So you see now I have 1,300. So some additional article came from the abstract. Okay. So this is how we search. Do you understand the process? Any questions so far? Okay. So if no question, then we can move on. And now I will show you the next step. After searching all the relevant articles through Scopus, then we move on and we apply some filtration. Okay, so what do we mean by filtration? Because if you go here, we go down here, you can see the title of the documents, you can see the author, you can see the source title, and then you see some basic information, how many articles published each year, and then you see the authors here, and then there is a subject area. And maybe you don't want to be looking at articles which are talking about engineering or energy or computer science or arts or humanities. So you can apply the filters, subject filters here. For instance, I say I'm looking at articles which are in social science, business management, and then economics and econometrics. So this is what I can do. So I apply this filter and let's see. So I limit to these subject areas. So now my articles are 1,163. So I restricted it to social science, I restricted it to business and management, and then I restricted it to economics, econometrics. So these are the first filters I always do. And then if I go down here, so you see here, there we have articles, we have book chapters, review articles, conference papers, letters, all these different things. And I don't want to go for the book chapters and conference paper because they are usually not peer reviewed. Also letter and books, we don't want them. So let's choose articles and review articles. And then I go and also select the journals down there. So there is a filter journal here. Okay, so I apply that. And then also you see that we have these filters, English language and some other languages as well. So I choose only English language because I don't know how to deal with other languages. So I apply all these filters. And I get 1,006 documents, which is a very reasonable sample for citation analysis or systematic literature review. But remember, we will also be doing some manual screening of these articles because still maybe there are some articles which are not actually what we are looking for. So we have to do manual screening. And let me show you a diagram where you can actually see how your filters and how to document your filtration process. So if you see here, let me go here. So this is what you have to present whenever you are doing a systematic literature review or citation analysis. So you have to create this Prisma chart, which is a guideline for doing a systematic literature review and meta-analysis. So you have to document how did you search your article, what database you used, and then you have to say which subject area you are restricting. You are restricting journal articles, you are restricting it to English language. And then, there is also a next step, which is manual screening. So what do you do in manual screening? So you download, I will show you how to download these 1000 articles, which we have right now. But then once you download, you use the Excel, you download them in Excel. And then in Excel, you can go and look at the title and the abstract to find out if there is any irrelevant article. So for example, here, when we looked at the, 336 documents after the initial filtering, we did the manual screening and we found that out of these 336, 171 documents were irrelevant. And then final sample was, I think there is some typo, so it should be, there is 170 documents finally. And then we also do another kind of search. So what we do, we look at some previously published article on this topic, and then we also check their reference list. Okay, so we check their reference list. There are a total of 325 references in these papers. And then we also looked manually and see if there is any important article which we don't have in our sample. So that gave us 5 additional articles which were missing from our sample, and we also added them. So 165 remaining from the manual screening, and then we added these 5, and our final sample is 170 documents. So this is the process which you have to document, which you have to present in your paper. Very, very important piece of information. And then let me go back to Scopus, and as you can see, you have the option to export these articles. So I select all articles and then I click export. So here are different formats available to export. For example, you can export them to Mendeley if you are using it for your referencing, or you can use these other, I don't know about them, RefWorks. And then you can also export them as RIS format if you want to later on use these. You can use CSV. For example, I want to first, put these into CSV file just to show you how we do manual screening. So, and then I click export. So this is going to give us an Excel sheet of all the documents. And then what we do, we can also export them into other, formats. For example, when we are using them into we need BibTeX files. Okay, of course they can also read CSV file, but we would like to use BibTeX. And when you are going to use them for your, these softwares, then you remember to include all the boxes here. Okay, so you need all the boxes to do the citation analysis in the softwares. So I also export it. So now I exported 2 files, one CSV file and one BibTeX file. So let me okay, so now we have all the documents which we downloaded. They are here. So let me do it quick. I want to save them first into Excel file. Okay, so now I'm going to use, because it's opening in another software, so I want to open it in. So you can see it contains a lot of information. And for example, each article is now represented in one row, and you have the author's title of the document, you have source, title of the journal, and then you also have many other information. For example, you have the affiliation of this document has been cited in Scopus. And then you also have the abstract. So what you do, the first step is to do the manual screening. Of course, which I cannot show you how we exactly do here, but let me just create a basic file which you can follow the steps. So I want to bring the abstract here, and let me have the source title here. And then I would like to have I don't need these information, so I can bring them here. And so I'm just arranging these information. For example, this is abstract, this is title, and I want to create a new column here. Okay, so what do we do in relevancy? You just say that if it is a relevant article, then you put 1. If it is irrelevant article, you put 0 by just looking at the title and abstract. Quickly, you can decide if something is, relevant or if something is not relevant. So you just do these relevancy checks. So there will be some 1 and other 0s. Okay, so this. Then you can go back and work only with the relevant articles. So this is also very important. So let me now go back and show you how we use the softwares to do, after you are done with manual screening, how do you use these databases softwares to do the citation analysis. And I mentioned you about 2 data softwares. One is the Bibliometrix, and Bibliometrix software is actually for Bibliometrix. You can see here, you can download the latest version. For example, this is the information. Maybe some of you have already done this. And there are also many information about this. There's slides, videos, many different, information is available here. And this is a free software, which is very good. So then what we do, after you download and install, one important thing is, and then you need to install RStudio. And after RStudio, you need to install this package, and then you will be able to use it. So let me now, because I already installed it, so I will show you. So this is RStudio. Okay. So once you have installed the package, then you just need to run these 2 commands. So this package is for non-coders. Like, you don't need to understand all language, or you don't need to do any coding. It is just a small app which they created in computer, and it's all menu driven, and you just need to run these 2 commands every time you load it. So for example, if I want to use this Bibliometrix, so I just need to open this library. So I click here, and then I click run. So it is now opening Shiny. So I run it, and it will automatically open the web browser, default web browser. So you see here, this is the Biblioshiny, where we will be doing the citation analysis. And the first thing is do you have any question until now? Because I cannot read the chat. I don't know why. But if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. To bring the data into this app. And how do we do it? We go here, and we say import raw data. And then you see there are different formats, different sources mentioned here. For example, if you are downloading your relevant articles from Web of Science, you have to select this option. If you are using Scopus, then you have to tell the program that you have downloaded the file to tell them. As we have used Scopus, so I will click here, and then I browse the file which I downloaded. So I will go to the file and I will use that. So let me see which one is this. This is this one. So let me upload. So now this file has been uploaded. So now I start the data. So you see 1006 document has been read from it. And so now it means everything is ready to do the citation analysis. For example, you can also apply some filters here, but because we already did these filtration in the Scopus, so we don't need to do any main overview or main information. So you go to overview and you click on main information, and you get the main information here. So our the file which we downloaded right now with 1006 article, the time coverage is 1967 to 2022, and there are 340 different journals who have published 1006 documents. And then you can see here that there are 1,900 there are two, there are some co-authorships, which is 23.66%. And then there are 2.5 documents, authors per document. And then you also have the information about the keywords. So there are 2,131 keywords for these 1,000 papers. And there are this much references. We have documents average age is 28.65. So you see all the basic information is given here in this basic information, main information tab. And then if you would like to see how the time graph look like for these publications, so you just click here, annual scientific production. So you have this graph which is showing you the production over time. So you can see here, let me because I have, okay. So now you see we have this time graph. So it is showing us that this tourism and economic growth topic has become very popular since 2005 or 2007. It has very rapid increase in number of publications, which you have to explain it in your article. And then, this is, of course, an important piece of information. And then you go and talk times are moving. So now it's creating a different graph. So you see, this is the citations over time. And here you see some peaks, and these peaks are showing that there are some important articles published during this time, which is making these peaks. So this is average citations per year in our sample. And then there is another, graph which you can do, which is called 3-field plot. For running it, you have to select some options here. So 3-field plot is like they are, combining or making a map between different fields. For example, in the middle, I would like to have the keywords, for example, and then in the left side, I would like to have authors, which authors are working for which keyword. And then on the right side, I would like to see, for example, what are the sources, which journals are publishing. So see, in the middle side, I would like to have authors, And on the right side, I would like to have sources. So then you click run, and it will create this diagram or this graph, which is talking about how different authors are, what is the main area of the authors, and where they are publishing. So for example, the main keyword in our database is economic growth, and then you can link it that who is publishing these keywords, and then which journals are is publishing topics related to economic growth. And so you can also choose the amount of authors you want to represent here.
هوطي بسمع من عندك.
Okay, so for example, you want to say that you want to only work with 10 important keywords, and you would like to only look at 10 authors, and you only would like to have 10 journals. So, just to make it better than the previous one. So you see, these are the 10 important keywords in this literature: economic growth, tourism, economic development, tourism development, Granger causality, which is a methodology, co-integration is a methodology in this literature, and then which, papers are talking about tourism-led growth hypothesis, sustainable tourism, and then you can link it with which author is working on this topic. For example, if you want to look at tourism-led is going to be published. So this is again important source of information when you are looking at any topic. And then you can go to the next tab in this software, which is sources. So you can now identify what are the most relevant sources on this topic, tourism and economic growth. So if I do that and I click run, so it now created which journals or which sources are important. So if you are working on tourism and economic growth, so 84 paper out of 1006. And then the second one is sustainability. And then we have tourism management, which has published 38 documents. And then current issues in tourism has published 35 documents. And again, if you are new into this field, you would like to know what are the main journals which will be later on publishing your work. And then you can also find out what are the most cited sources, like which journals are getting more citations on this. Of course, and that it was publishing less paper, 35 papers, but look at the citations. Even though tourism economics was publishing more paper, but their citations are less than the tourism management. So it means tourism management is highly more, impactful journal compared to tourism economics. And I know these journals, and tourism management is A-star journal in ABDC, and tourism economics is A in ABDC ranking. Important articles, go to tourism management and find, look at there, some impactful articles. And then the next important information here in the sources is Bradford Law. So what Bradford Law does, it actually give you or tell you the core journals. What are the core journals which are publishing on this topic? So what it does, it divides the article into three types, and journals which are publishing a lot of articles on this topic, and they will be less in number, but they are publishing 1/3 of the total publication. So here you can see we have 10 journals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 journals. They are the core journals. They are publishing 1/3 of the total publication. So remember, our total sample is 1006 articles, and 1/3 of those has been published in these 10 journals. So it means they are the core journals of those journals. For example, tourism economics, sustainability, tourism management. If you add the number for the zone 1, it will be 1/3 of the total publication. If you want to see the whole file, you can of course download. If you can make zone 1 is up to this point, and then zone 2 starts. So in zone 2, there will be again more journals compared to zone 1, but again, they will be publishing 1/3 of the total journal. And once you have seen the zone 2, then it will start zone which are publishing maybe 1 article or 2 articles or 3 articles on this topic. And there will be more journals in zone 3, but again, they will be publishing 1/3 of the total article in our sample. So this is again a very useful information to identify core journals. And then you can also find out the source impact. For example, you want to see that which journal on this topic has the. So here you see that tourism economics and tourism management have the same H index, and it is equal to 31. And what does it mean? It means there are 31 paper in tourism economics which has at least 31 citations. Similarly, in tourism management, you have 31 papers which has at least 31 citations. So H index is a very useful way of comparing different journals or authors. So if you would like to know what are the important journals over different time periods, or what are the journals which are publishing on a particular topic right now, so you can also do source dynamic here. If you do that, you will get this graph, which is now telling you that these, for example, this blue line here is tourism economics, which is publishing 84 journal, and it has a very positive trend. And these. And then I will show you the this authors. So now you can also identify what are the most relevant authors on this topic. So you go to authors tab, and then you click most relevant authors, and you run it. Most productive author in this area, tourism economic growth in Tank. And then the second best author is Brida, and he has published 16 papers. So you can identify some authors which are very important, highly productive in this field. And then you can also find out which authors are getting most citations. So if you click that, most influential authors. So it's now creating the graph. Okay, so you see here, none of these authors were in the most productive one, but now you see their citations are very high. So this author has got 328 citation on this topic, and also some other authors. And so here you see the most productive author was Tang, and he started publishing in 2010, and last article he published is 2021. And then these circles are telling you that he has published some impactful articles. Similarly, the second author, Brida, she started publishing in 2008, and her last article was published in 20. And then you can also see some very active authors here. For example, this W. Wu started publishing in 2019, and he's still publishing. And in 2022, he published 6 articles, which is showing that he's very, very active. So again, this is also very useful if you would like to follow these authors, their work, what they are doing, and you will get a lot of information. Is Lotka's law. So Lotka law is actually telling you what is how many articles each author is publishing. And for this Lotka law, you get 2 types of graphs. One is this solid line, which is the actual values from our sample, and then there is dotted line, which is which is a theoretical distribution of the author's productivity. So if you look at this diagram, the actual one in our sample, has 85% of the authors have only published one document. Okay, so most of the authors are just coming here in this field and publishing one article, and then they are going to other topics. Okay, so it means a lot of authors are just coming for one paper and then they are doing something else. But if you look at the theoretical distribution, it says that if a field is mature field, then approximately 60% around. And then if you look at these 2 documents per author, then you see only 9% authors have published 2 documents. If you look at the 3 documents for one author, then there are only 2.3 authors have published 3 papers. So this is showing that this is still a growing field, tourism and economic growth, and people still, just coming and publishing one paper on this topic. So this logical law is basically telling you how developed is the research area. So if the research area is very well developed, so you will have some permanent authors who are working on this topic, and then your distribution should be looking like this dotted line, which is the theoretical distribution. The next is the author impact. So you can actually find out which author has the highest H index, for example. So if I click this, so you see Brida is that she has 14 articles on this topic, which has at least 14 citations. And then the second number has an H index of 12. So remember, in terms of productivity or in terms of number of papers, Tang was the first one. But if you look at the impact of the author, then Brida is at number 1. And then you can also find out what are the affiliations of these authors, for example. So 34 authors which are working on this topic. And then University of Johannesburg is at the 2nd. University of Science, Malaysia is at number 3. So you can see the affiliations of the authors in this area. And then you can also find out the authors' production over time. If we run it here, so see who is most. So this is affiliation production over time. So which affiliations are very active in 2022. And also you look at some other affiliations. And then you can also look at the corresponding authors countries, what are the countries of these authors. For example, if I click corresponding author country and I click run, so I see that most of the papers are being published in China, and then USA and China. The total document is same, but then this orange line is telling us the multiple country publications, and this green is telling us the single country publication. So if you look here, of course, the total number of publications are same in China and US, but in China there are more, multiple country publication, which means that the authors are affiliated in different countries. And single country publication. And similarly in the US, you can see how many authors are doing single country and multiple country publications. Okay, so now we move on to the country's scientific production. You can see the whole world map and how many papers are being published in different countries. So you can see here, for example, in Oman, there are 7 documents on this topic. And in Egypt, we have 104 documents. So you can see the whole map. In the USA, we have 229 documents. But remember that this is not based on the corresponding author affiliation. It is based on the affiliation of all the authors. Okay, so that is why the numbers are higher here compared to the corresponding authors. And if you want to see countries' production over time, you can also do that. You click the next option and you see which countries are most productive in 2020. And then comes the US and other countries. And if you want to find out what are the most cited countries, you can also see which country is getting most of the citations. So you see USA is getting a lot of citations from his authors. And then second number is China. So of course, when you are writing your paper, of course, you will not be using all the diagrams. You can do pick and choose and use the one which you. Okay, so after the authors and affiliation, now we move on to the documents. Okay, so next is document, most cited documents. So if you do that, you run it, you will find out which are the most important articles or impactful articles. So these are the top 10 best articles in our sample. And then you can also find out what keywords they are using. Okay, so most word is economic growth. The second number is tourism development, and then tourism economics, economic development, tourism. These are the 10 most frequent words. You can also create the word cloud of these keywords. So you can go and choose, for example, which keyword you want to. For example, I want to use the authors keyword. And if I click run, I get this diagram here. So in our sample, tourism is the main keyword. Then we have being used. And you can choose another keyword, which is keyword plus. So there is a difference between keyword, authors keyword, and keyword plus. So keyword plus are the keywords which are created by Scopus for these document, for each document. So if you use keyword plus, then you can also create this diagram, and you see this is how it looks based on keyword plus. So again, you get some idea in the document. And then we can move on and we can talk about some clustering technique, which is very useful sometime. And why do we use these clustering techniques? Because this is going to tell us what are the research themes or research areas in this topic. For example, if I show you conceptual structures here, so it is co-occurrence network. So this is basically analysis. So when we submit a paper, we provide author's keyword. For example, we are writing tourism, and then we are also writing sustainable development. So it means the theme of my paper is tourism and how it is related with sustainable development. So now this software now combine these keywords from all the documents in our sample, and it will show us what are the main themes. So if I do that, and if I use the option that the keyword, so if I run it, I will get this. So here now you see that these are the two main clusters of the keywords. This one, let me make it bigger, little bigger. So you see this is the cluster which is talking about economic growth and tourism, how different econometrics techniques which are being used in this literature. So this is dealing mostly with that. And if you look at the red cluster here, so it is telling you that are related with sustainable tourism or local economic development, sustainability. So this red cluster is talking more about sustainable tourism, and this blue one is talking about different methodologies and different applications of the main research theme, which is tourism-led growth hypothesis. And then we can also make the thematic map. This thematic map is also very important. So this thematic map is having two axes. So one is the development degree or density of the topic. And then another axis here is the relevancy or centrality. So it has 4 quadrants. So we have these 2 axes, and then we have 4 quadrants. So if something is in this quadrant here, in the 4th quadrant, so these are the upcoming topics or emerging topics. Third quadrant, maybe I'm counting them wrong. So this is 1st quadrant. This is 2nd quadrant. I don't know how do we count these quadrants. So, but anyhow, if you find something here, I hope you can see my mouse. So if you find something here, it means it is an emerging topic. For example, this is a topic which is coming up in United Arab Emirates or GCC countries. Local economy or stakeholder perception is coming here. And the topic here in this quadrant, they are the mature topics because they have a higher centrality and they also develop density is also higher. So the topic which you can see here are very mature topic and a lot of research has been done. And these are the emerging topics. So this also tells you which area you would like to select for your research. And then after that, so intellectual structure, we create co-citation network. So let me first tell you what do we mean by co-citation network. So let me go back to my presentation and then I will show you the co-citation network. So this is co-citations. So what do we mean by co-citation? Like if we have an article A and then we have an article B. So these article A and article B are C, which is citing them together. So if paper C is citing paper A and paper B together, it means there is a citation network. So which means that paper A and paper B are related to each other because they are being cited by paper C. Similarly, if paper D is again citing these 2 papers together, it means it creates another link between A and B. It makes it a stronger link between A and B. And then if there is another paper E, which is again citing A and B together. So this is represented by a link between these 2 papers. So then this software is actually creating the link for all the papers in our sample, and then it is showing us the graph. So let me do it for our topic. Where is that? We have it here. So co-citation network, I click run, and it will now create the graph. Different papers. So this, we have 3 clusters again. So this is red cluster, which includes these important papers. But remember that these networks are statistical network. It does not give you what is the theme of these red clusters. So how do you identify the theme? You can go to these few articles in this red area or red papers, and then you can read their title and read their abstract and see what is common in these. You can look at this green cluster. You again go to some of these papers, look at their title and identify the themes, because this is based on purely statistical analysis. Similarly, you go to the this network of blue color, and again you go and read few papers from this blue color, and you will find what is the common theme of these papers. So basically, this network analysis or these intellectual area of research. Okay, and then we can also go and do the social structures. For example, we can also find out the collaboration network. So you can look at how authors are collaborating with each other. So for example, there are many authors who are working together. For example, you have a group of researchers who are working together. You have some other authors. You can go and search these articles in Google Scholar and find out what is the common theme of their research. Okay, so it will tell you why these researchers are collaborating. Maybe they are collaborating because they are working in the same university, or maybe they are collaborating because they are working on the same topic, or maybe there is another reason. And then you can also create a collaboration network in the I get how countries are collaborating with each other. So you see that this topic is very well connected between the countries. And mostly many of the researchers are in China and in the US, and they are working together on these topics. So this is the collaboration network. So this is, all about the Bibliometrix software, which can do many things. Of course, you can see here, but again, you cannot, include all these figures or things to be doing pick and choose, finding or presenting only those figures which are relevant for your topic. I have done many, research using this citation analysis. And so you can look at my publication, how I am presenting, how I am writing the explanation of these diagrams. And so this is all about the citation analysis. And then, I also mentioned that there is another software creating networks between the papers. So for WASP viewer, let me show you if I have it here. So if you go to you write WASP viewer. So it's a visualization software. So again, you see it will create the networks. You have already created these networks in Bibliometrix, but in WASP viewer. Otherwise, the concept is same, that you are trying to make the link between papers using the keywords or using the co-citation network. So let me very quickly show you that. But for that, I have to download the Excel file from Scopus. So I will go here and download the Excel file. I did it before, but for that I did not include references. So I need to do it again. I export them. It's being downloaded now, and I'm going to run this WASP viewer. So I go to my downloads, and here I have WASP. So okay, so now this is WASP viewer. So what I have to do, I will show you how to make networks. So you go to create, and then it is asking, there are many different data. So I click that, you click next, and then you will be using the data from Web of Science, Scopus, Dimensions, or whatever you use. So again, we will be selecting Scopus here. And so this is from, if you are doing with Scopus, you need to select this. If you are using Web of Science, you have to select this. So if it is Scopus, then you just browse the file, and let me use it from my downloads. Let me, how to do is, so there is download. So now I will be using the file which we downloaded, this one, or maybe this one, I think. Let me see. So the name is Scopus 17. So I have to go back and use it. Scopus 17. This is the file which I downloaded for tourism and economic growth. And then I click next. So it's reading the file from Scopus, which I downloaded. Okay, so now it's giving you different options. So you can make a bibliographic map between the authors or between the keywords or for using the citations or bibliographic coupling. So the documentation of each of these options is available, but mostly I use this co-occurrence network, and I'd like to use authors keywords instead of index keyword plus, but here they are calling it index keywords. But I would like to use the authors keyword, and then I click next. And so here you can mention how many minimum number of occurrence you need for a keyword. So here it is 5. And then number of keywords to be selected, 107. And then you can click finish. Okay, so this is exactly, this is Bibliometrix, but this one looks much better. It is, looks much nicer, but otherwise the information is same. So you have one big, articles, bunch of articles which are talking about economic growth and tourism, but then you also have this another network which is talking about tourism and sustainable development, and all these topics are here. Sustainable tourism. What are the different themes in a particular research area, and how to use them in your article, or how to explain these things. You can read some of my papers, and you can then play around with different options. It has a lot of options to try. You can do that here, and all the documentation is available on the internet. So I think this is what I wanted to show you, how to use these citation analysis here. So now if you have any question, please ask me. Otherwise, this is what I wanted to show you.
Thank you very much, Professor Nisar. It was very insightful and very useful, and I think it's very practical as well. So if the colleagues have any questions, feel free to pose the questions to Professor Nisar.
And also,